Hello, everyone. Welcome to you hush. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney. Guys, how are you? How's your week been? Anything amazing come in the mail?
Maybe.
I've been hushed. I'm not allowed to talk.
Maybe something amazing did come in the mail. Maybe I'm really excited.
And yet it came immediately, like, before we had to record this. So there's no way for you to, like, tell us about it.
I know. I am bothered by this. I'm not bothered. I'm not like, how dare you arrive? That's horrible. No. But it is so the wrong day. Like after I left work, I had to go grocery shopping to get some stuff for dinner tonight because we're hitting the end of that long shop period that Stephanie and I usually do. So I had to go pick some of that stuff up, and then I had to get dinner into the sous vide machine after I got home, and
this is gonna be so good part 2, isn't it?
No, that's it.
It.
That was it. That's all I had to do. It's just that took me until about 10 minutes ago. So Here I am. I can tell you, it's not that heavy. And that's about it.
Okay, great.
Would you actually let him talk about the Oculus on this cast? I feel like you would just shut him up and be like, nope, no video games, be quiet.
It doesn't even sound like it's video games. I mean it is, but like when you get to like the sexy times stuff, that's something we have to talk about. If you're just going to be telling me like stuff along the lines of, wow, the new, I don't know, what's a video game company? Capcom. The new Capcom VR Street Fighter game is so Street Fighter. I don't want to hear it. But if it's like interesting and like weird, then of course. But
you sound like such a dad. Yeah, you're Nintendo. Real nice, Johnny. Why don't you blow in the cartridge, son?
How do you like your Atari?
I'm just as interested in the non-gaming applications of the Rift as I am in the gaming applications.
Right.
So, like,
okay.
I know that some I can't remember if it's Pixar or DreamWorks, some ex-animators from one of the big CG studios have done a short film for it already. And I want to sit down and watch this short film. I'm interested to see how narrative experiences are affected by a virtual reality 3D environment where you can literally turn around and look at anything you want to.
Is it a virtual story in the sense that you can walk around the story and watch it, or is it a virtual story in the sense that you can manipulate it?
You observe it. It is a film. Observe. It just happens in a more present space.
Okay.
It's it's a hedgehog, and he has a birthday party, and you're the only person that comes, and he's like, "Oh my God, you came to my birthday."
Does he go fast?
Spoiler, God.
I don't think he goes tremendously fast. He might go a little fast.
Okay. Well, so long as he does something.
So I'm just interested in hanging out with this hedgehog for a little while, seeing some other stuff.
That's cool.
It's not. I'm not going to come on to Word Funk and talk about the video games. I'll save that for Game Crunk. But as a media experience, I'm likely to talk about it on Word Funk at least a little bit, particularly the porno.
Oh, well, obviously. I mean, that's what everyone has come to not see on this audio show. But you will describe it in such a way that we'll just be there, Johnny. So I'm looking forward to it.
You will probably feel just as creeped out as I do.
Good. Wonderful.
We'll have to do it like ASMR style, where Johnny just talks like really smooth and quiet about all the dicks he saw in VR.
Oh gosh.
Johnny, want to give us a little taste?
Taste of the dick?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, all right.
And as I
Right.
rounded the corner of the small soundstage that had been made to look like a punk rock club, I was confronted suddenly by a cavalcade of both semi-erect and fully erect dicks. My God, I thought to myself, what would one do with all these dicks?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how ASMR works.
I don't even
This is
know
the
what it
first-
is. I was just trying to
this is
give
the
you
first time. This is the first time I've heard that term. So whatever.
Oh God, is this the part where we have to Google shit?
I was just trying to do
You
an
can just tell me.
NPR story.
Mm-hmm.
That was my inspiration there.
You can just tell me what it means, Austin.
I'm trying to remember what it stands for. I just looked it up. Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. It's a genre of, I guess, like YouTube videos where people talk in a way that gives you like a skingasm. It's
Oh.
weird. It's like an actual thing. There's an enormous Wikipedia page on it. If you're
Oh.
curious, it's literally just the letters ASMR. If you want to look at it, listeners.
Mhm.
So do
But for
people
our
use it as like supplementary material to sensory deprivation tanks or something?
I think. Oh
I
man,
think
I
it's
was
for yanking it.
no. See, I was joking when I said gasm, but no, the word orgasm is definitely in this article.
Okay.
Let's see. It was coined in 2010, and it basically, so the idea is if you talk in a certain way and it triggers something in certain people. I guess if you have that as a trigger and you get like tingly,
Hmm. Neat.
but it's kind
Is
of
that like people who
complicated.
get turned on by toothbrushing? Or
I
people
don't
who get
know.
turned on by toothbrushing anime?
Everyone's into something, Johnny.
I don't think it's necessarily sexual. I think it obviously can be, but it's not like your genitals. It's like an all over tingly feeling you get if someone talks in the right way. And I think it's supposed to be like a low sensual talking, like close to the microphone.
Oh yeah,
And like,
wow.
you don't want me to do that.
Oh wow, Austin. Who isn't wet right now?
And I think there's other ways to do it. I think you can like do stuff with like crinkling or tapping. Like there's different ways to do it. But it's
Okay.
basically trying to
Crinkling. Is this a word that I should be familiar with and think that I already am familiar with, but I'm not actually familiar with?
Is that an Americanism? Crinkling? It's like crumpling.
Okay, so you are actually talking about like paper.
Yeah, I think that was just an onomatopoeia of the sound. Crinkling is not some specifically sexual
It
term.
might be.
Okay, well, it
Maybe
might
Austin's
also-
like, the kids are all into crinkling these days. And I'm like, what the fuck is that?
That's the hip
How-
news street jug. I fucked that word up.
News at 11. Crinkling. Are your kids doing it? And what does it mean? It's not what you think it is, but we won't tell you unless you tune in for the entire hour.
I clicked on that podcast, and you won't believe what happened next.
You take a whole ream of paper, ball it up, and stuff it up your ass. You get really high. Crinkling. All the kids are into it.
Oh gosh, think about the paper cuts. Okay.
That's part of
So-
the experience because it gets the it gets the paper juices right up in there.
And then we could get celebrities that need to publicly apologize for things to be like, this is crinkling.
Yeah.
Watch
I
out,
bet Joe-
kids.
I bet Joe Biden crinkles. He seems like he seems like he's down.
Joe Biden
Yeah.
looks like a crinkler. A no good, dirty, low down crinkler.
What else does he have to do?
Soon, almost nothing.
I'm sorry for this entire segment.
Don't vice
yeah.
presidents get like? I know presidents get libraries. Don't vice presidents
president-
get like carpools or something?
Vice presidents are significantly busier than we're making them out to be. When the president, they
Yeah,
don't just
especially
show
with
up-
all that crinkling.
They don't just vice president doesn't just show up if the president gets shot. Vice president basically has to do a lot of the ceremonial stuff that the president can't do. So they're doing it all the time. They don't just show up on the odd chance that there is a tie in the Senate, and they get to say, "All right, it's Biden time." He has shit to do like every day. I
really do hope that when he shows up, though, he says, "All right, it's Biden time."
He says that at every meal. He says that whenever he enters a retail shopping location. He does it pretty frequently.
I was hoping that it happened in the bedroom myself.
I mean, how would we know? How would you know, Johnny?
Only through, I guess, NSA observations or some lurid tell-all memoir.
Yeah, it's too late for Joe Biden to get into the presidential race. So this is literally the last year he will ever be relevant to do anything. So enjoy it. Have fun. That's what I think.
Speaking of politics, and I don't want to jump too far in, but do you remember like a million years ago when Johnny was asking us to explain the fucking delegate situation and the super delegates, and we just floundered on here? Or actually, and then
I did explain it, but made a joke. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, if you're still curious, last week's night did an episode recently where they spent 15 minutes breaking it down.
And I learned more in that 15 minutes than I think I have with you guys ever.
Good. That was the intention.
Also, it's their job, and we're just trying to make jokes.
Yeah.
I'm not nothing to do with the fact we're idiots.
I'm not pointing fingers here and being like, you guys let me down. I really should have moderated my expectations.
That's fair. Okay. There's like a million topics we can talk about this week. I'm just going to go over mine real quick because it won't take very long. I think it was last night. As is often the case. I mean, I've always joked that I could make like an entire Twitter account called "Shit I Hear Outside My Window" in Baltimore, and I would have
it's a bit wordy. You might want to
something along those lines. But I would have at least 20 funny tweets a day. But I decided not to do that because I don't want to live here that much longer, and also because some of them were a little creepy. Last night around midnight. I heard this. "I'll snatch your soul!" And then a loud clanging sound. So,
Shang Tsung is out there getting work done.
Yeah. One of a few things could have happened. First, it could have been someone threatening someone, and then that person killed that other person with something that clangs. Or that person literally stole their soul, and that's just what souls sound like. So now we know that when souls leave their body, they go clang. Mystery solved.
I'm not sure that's what it sounds like when somebody robs somebody else from this mortal coil. So
okay.
No, it's okay. So there's this obviously a prototype robot which was implanted with a human soul. Yeah. Because we've been meddling in forces beyond our ken. And when the creator finally caught up to it, he yelled at it, took the soul back, and it clanged to the ground, dead and lifeless, the way God intended.
I feel like if that were to happen, Austin, the robot would still be there in the morning. Wait a minute. No, it wouldn't. Someone would have stolen it. Yeah. Yeah, it's in Baltimore.
It checks out.
I've had Christmas presents stolen from my doorstep before. So, your story checks out. Let's go with that.
So you guys, you don't think that this is maybe some kind of elaborate game of tag involving a little bit of fish?
What?
A soul,
Oh. I guess that counts as a joke.
I don't need your pity, Austin.
I feel like you might.
That actually wasn't bad. It was just we missed it.
No, I get it in context, but I've never heard that was the name of a fish.
Never heard every joke from the 30s about fillet of soul?
No, I've never heard that joke before. I get in context what that means, but no, I've never heard that before ever.
Then the classic punchline is it turns out to be a shoe. Because you think it's a fish, but it's a shoe. And then 30s crowds loved that shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good.
It would even occasionally get two out of it.
I don't know. 30s comedians were just a little too real for me.
Raw.
Yeah,
There was a lot of life taking going on back then.
They wouldn't survive in today's hyper PC environment where you can't even go to a university and call people the N-word. It's crazy out there.
Mm.
Can you imagine if comedians actually had to try to think of funny jokes instead of just being dicks?
We'd be out of jobs.
I heard the first time someone said that their arms were getting tired due to flying in from a certain place to another certain place, there was just a riot. People couldn't handle how real it was, you know.
It was especially weird because it was before the invention of the plane. So the joke,
God.
like they didn't even know why they were angry. They just assumed it was some sort of blasphemy because most things back then were.
Okay. All right, that's literally all I wanted to talk about this week. Besides the fact that I sure do want to move soon, and my lease is up in January. So, and if anyone has any fun ideas for where I can move in this country, I'll hear them in the comments.
What happened to your plans to go to Ottawa?
It's basically it's a whole lot of extra. I mean, I sat down and thought about it. Like, do I really desperately need to spend a significant portion of my life waiting and for things to process, and these things can actually take years, and getting acclimated to a new country and a million other problems that come with it, basically just to move to somewhere that is probably a little cleaner, but in almost every functional way is basically just America-ish. It's not like moving to an exotic land. It's just moving somewhere where there's a little less trash. So
all right, I'll write Parliament soon and be like, hey, my friend's got a great new idea for a Canadian slogan. America with a little less trash.
Right. I'm not saying Canada is worse than America. I'm saying it is like objectively better, but it is not that much better that it's worth the incredible hassle that it will take for me to actually move there. So I'm not gonna. That's how I feel. I've given it a lot of thought, and it just seems like a pipe dream. I just want to live somewhere that's not here, where people are just stealing each other's souls left and right. So
that poor sad robot.
Yeah, what the fuck?
That's a tragedy.
I'm giving a lot of thought to a lot of places. The only problem, I mean, I can move anywhere because my job is I can do from anywhere. I just need an internet connection. So
why don't you just fire up the old Google and type in cheapest place to live or like lowest rents in America? Because
the cheapest and lowest rent places in America are places where I live now, just like really shitty cities with lots of crime, and that's not where I want to live because I'm living there right now. The cost of living in Baltimore is nothing. It's great in a way. It's great, but in every other conceivable way, it's absolutely not.
Lowest rents plus lowest crime.
I understand that. I'm researching a lot of things.
Leon,
you understand. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What do you think about Minnesota?
I've considered moving to the Midwest somewhere. Apparently, they take pride in being nice, which is a thing there. So a lot of it comes down to knowing people in the area. Because, like, for example, I would love to live in Portland, Oregon. But here's the thing about living in Portland. It's a nice town. Well, it's not nice so much as it is cool. It still has a pretty decent rate of crime, but certainly a lot better than Baltimore. But here's the thing about living in Portland or anywhere in Oregon. I know no one who lives there, like 0 people, and no one even nearby. So it's not. I mean, I could and just try to make new friends, but I'd also like to stay in contact with my current friends. So I have to take that sort of thing into consideration. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I've looked into moving too, and it always comes down to money and time, and it's like you have to restart everything basically, and there's all these sorts of processes, and it just doesn't seem worth it because, like most places are kind of the same at the end of the day. You sleep, you eat, you go to work. It's like it doesn't make that huge of a difference unless your life is in danger.
Oh, my life is in danger.
See, you're
and your soul
case.
too, apparently.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've. Let's see. Let me do a quick count. This will take 10 seconds out of the show, so you guys can talk amongst yourself while I do a quick calculation.
Hey, Johnny, did you see Leon with hair earlier?
No. Where did this appear?
There was a picture on Twitter and people were talking about it, and then Becky drew him with a beard, and I was just like, yes, please.
Yeah. I moved 7 times in the span of 2.5 years once. So like maybe 3 years. But the point is, it is super easy for me to pick up and go somewhere. It's not that hard, actually. It's more like when I get there, what am I gonna do? Like, and not job wise, but like, socially.
Kill someone, steal their identity, and then take all their friends.
Luckily, I do have I know a lot of people who live all across the country. I just I gotta find a good hub of acquaintances.
I would invite you to join me here, but it's bad.
Oh, it is. Oh God. Oh no. Sorry, Austin.
I would not recommend it.
No, it's also like really sticky, I'm told.
Oh, it's so sticky.
Oh God, I'd have to like wear shorts at some point. I don't like showing any skin, so I'm very modest in that regard. But no, I don't want to do that.
I'm always wearing shorts, and I got told quite recently that I have no butt, and I've been thinking about that recently. I don't know how I feel about that. Should I be
awesome? Look, I gotta tell you, like, I'm not like a great looking guy, but from like the waist down on the back, I'm pretty good. Like, I'm told that my butt is my best feature, like physically, and that my legs are good. So like just looking at me from behind and not having to look at all of the rest of that shit, I'm apparently okay.
So your booty game's tight.
I guess it is. Nothing that I'm trying to do. It just sort of shook out that way. I don't do like butt exercises or anything.
Johnny, what's your best feature? What have you been told is your best feature? I have to know now.
Hard to narrow that down, isn't it? I mean, I've seen your calves recently, Johnny, and oh my God, like, what did you even do?
Kung Fu?
I guess.
No, that's it.
Okay.
It's
no,
Kung
well,
Fu.
I mean, all right, I'm not going to do that, but
then walk up a lot of stairs.
Okay.
Find some stairs. It'd be like, I'm gonna walk up you.
See, that's not fair. Leon's like, I got booty for days, and Johnny's like, all of me is pretty good. Like, just this whole thing I have, my scene is like popping right now. I've
been told that I have impressive trapezius muscles.
You just made that up.
No, I have. Somebody said to me once that I had impressive traps.
Is that like one of those made-up things, like a core? People are talking about blasting the core.
The trapezius muscles are the ones that kind of sit on top of your shoulder. They go from like the base of your neck to the side of your shoulder.
I hope I'm making somebody very angry by pretending like I don't know any.
You're an athlete. You should.
I know.
Stop trolling.
At the first high school I went to, one of the classes I took was weightlifting. I literally had a class period where I just went and lifted weights, and I got credit for that. That's high school in Florida, guys.
Right?
Okay.
In case you're wondering how the South do.
Okay.
I have been told that I have impressive legs, buttocks, back, neck.
Okay, Johnny, we get it.
My arms are a little thin. I've never had very good arms. My arms have never been particularly stunning.
Now we know his super weakness.
Just punch him in the arms.
And all you gotta do is just get close enough and be like, "What's up, noodle arms?" And then I'll be like, "Oh."
Oh dear.
It only works if you get close, though, because if you're too far away, I'd be like, "You can't see it," and then I would like pose or something.
Okay.
Get out of here, scrub. Wow.
There's probably like tons of like things we can talk about. I know, Austin, you have a couple things, so if you want to just take the floor, go right ahead.
Oh, thank you for this beautiful floor, this gift you have given me. Yeah. I've been watching a new show. Have you guys heard of The Path?
Yeah, I've been watching it.
cool. I think it might have been who was it? Someone told me it was good, but it's a show. Was it?
No, it was Lauren. We were talking about it briefly, so it might have been her.
I started watching it with her, but I couldn't remember because it was a couple different people who said it's good. It's the new show starring Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad and Hugh Dancy from Hannibal, or as I like to call them, Aaron Small and Huge Dancy, because they are protagonist and antagonist, respectively, in this show. It's about a cult, and it takes a lot of cues from Scientology and like the structure. Like, in this cult, there's different levels of authority you reach, and if you like do bad stuff, they lock you in a room and make you like confess to shit. And it definitely draws a lot of like real world parallels. I was afraid to watch it at first because I mean, you guys know how I feel about like religious studies and stuff, and I was worried it was kind of gonna be like a one-dimensional like cult of crazy idiots, like a lot of cults are in media. But it's actually a fairly nuanced depiction of it. And they touch on a lot of like the real things, like they get like drug addicts and people who are like homeless, and all this makes them more vulnerable to this kind of spiel, like the pitch of like you have nowhere else to go, basically, and they make you reliant on them. But then there's like this whole level of drama with like interpersonal family stuff, and like there's a lot of stuff to dig into. I think the season is done. I've seen all 10 episodes that are currently available. I believe it's Hulu exclusive.
Yeah, I watch it on Hulu.
I've seen it advertised on TV though.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't recognize the name until you said it was the new show with Aaron Paul. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, I've seen a commercial for that, but I can't recall from the life of me where I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Paul is good in it. Obviously, like coming off Breaking Bad, he probably could have done anything he wants, and he's actually a producer on the show. And I feel like he must have some kind of hand in the music choice, because there's like montages to like The National and Bob Dylan, and like it gets pretty good on the soundtrack. But I think he gets outacted by Hugh Dancy, honestly, who, if you've seen Hannibal, and few people have, in that show, he's the good guy ostensibly, but he has this like layer of darkness underneath. And in this show, it's reversed, where he's the antagonist, but he has this layer of like, he wants to do good, but it's just like, it's too hard for him. Like, he wants to be good and he just fucking can't. And it's heartbreaking. Like, he gives a phenomenal performance in the show. I think the acting is the strongest part, but all around, like, there's a shot in like episode 2 or 3, which might be my favorite shot in television since that True Detective episode in the what is it, like the slums, basically, that tenement shootout in True Detective season 1.
Yeah.
Like, since then, like, it's so good. Aaron Paul is locked in the cell and the camera is like spinning and the walls are like peeling away and shit. It's like, it's amazing.
That was cool. Yeah.
But do you have any other thoughts on this show? Because I have tons from a religious perspective, but if you want to get on the filmmaking or anything, like, you probably should jump in now before I go off.
Okay. No, it's a solid show. It's how do I put this? It's not. It's almost. It has like a lot of the trappings of a soap opera, in that there's a lot of like family and relationship and like hidden betrayal stuff and like secrets revealed. But
everybody's smooching people they shouldn't be smooching.
Oh gosh. We're from different worlds, but we gotta, that kind of
Poor baby, not Heath Ledger.
Oh my God, I said the exact same thing. Like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my God, he looks exactly like Heath Ledger.
And the girl he's dating looks exactly like a girl I used to date. So that was really trippy. I was like, why is Heath Ledger all over my ex? This is weird.
But no, I mean, from a storytelling standpoint, it's not remarkable, but it's because of that little aspect of it, that little quirk, I guess you can say. It's more than just a soap opera, and I dig it. I definitely dig it. I believe it only has like 10 episodes a season, and then it wraps up tonight. I'm actually going to watch it like right after I'm done with this on Hulu. So looking forward to it. Strong show. Not amazing, but in this era of like kind of like new golden age of television, that's like a solid 7, if that makes any sense. Definitely worth seeing. Yeah.
I mean, I think I might have liked it a little bit more than you. Like there's like a couple of things I might nitpick, but like it's all around so strong in the cinematography, the acting. I think the writing's really good. I actually have seen the 10th episode, and like it ends like if I was writing it, that's exactly how I would have ended it. And I assume it's going to get renewed, but it's going in some interesting directions. But the thing that grabbed me so much about it was the ethos of the cult. Like I said, it's almost directly ripped from Scientology in a lot of ways. But when you see like what's ostensibly the ideology of the cult, which is like kind of this hippie, like they're all smoking weed, they're all helping each other out. It's like almost socialist. They're very into like charity and community work. Like on paper, it's like perfect. Like this is the kind of stuff like that gets you into cults, where you see like them and this face they put up and you're like, yes, obviously this is good. This is how people should live. And like the thing that brings it down are the flawed humans in charge, which is the problem with most systems. And B, this, what I would say is endemic to all religions, is the focus on whether or not the bullshit stories behind it are literally true.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a scene like in like the first couple episodes where Aaron Paul's character, he's questioning the truth of his movement. They don't like to call it religion, but it is. He's questioning whether or not his religion is true. And then when this woman who is kind of trying to get her way out of it says, it's like, this is all bullshit. And he's like, yeah, that's probably true of like all religions, but whatever, like my family's here. And that actually ties into like something I was thinking about it. And that is like, you're in this because your family's in it. It's something you're kind of born into. He wasn't born into it, but his kids are. And now that his family's in it, he just doesn't want to leave, even though he's like had like a vision that says it's nonsense.
Yeah, and I think there's a conversation later where he says, I think specifically, like, do Catholics actually believe they're eating the body of Christ? Like
some probably, but
like,
yeah, mostly I think a lot of people understand it's symbolic.
Yeah, so I'd say like two of the strong motifs through it are light and truth, and I like the way these interplay, and it just really drives home like so many religions are like perfect on paper, like if you just did what they said they were about, but then it's like then we got to kill each other over like what the truth is, the capital T truth. And it's like so frustrating that they would like rip apart all these people's lives over something that doesn't matter to the fact that they're all happy when they're just being themselves. It's so heart-wrenching. But have I ever told you guys about the cult in the county where I grew up?
No, but I want to hear about it right now.
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, so I'm born and raised Lee County, Florida. It's in Southwest Florida. And there's a place there called Estero. And in, I guess, like the early 1900s, like 1904, I think, there was a cult there called the Koreans. And I think he started in New York, but he established this community in Estero. And it's now Korean State Park. Like it's not a cult anymore for a couple of reasons. One is that part of their ideology was that you're supposed to be celibate. And since so much of cults propagation is their own members, like being born into it, if you don't have reproduction, all these things die out, which is a lot of what happened to the Koreans. But
yeah, same thing happened to the Shakers that way, I believe.
Yeah, there's a lot of
what?
And the
movers
movers
and shakers.
Oh god.
Yeah, but that's a problem with a lot of cults and their longevity. But yeah, so I mean, I grew up like always knowing it's like Estero was a walking distance from where I lived. And it's like, this is Korean State Park. Like we went there on like field trips and dates and stuff. It's just like a place people went, but it like used to be a cult compound where like hundreds of people like lived in a creepy utopian thing, much like this show. So it's, I mean, I don't have any, like I said, it was like 100 years ago when they were active. So I don't have any like creepy stories about cult shit, but it's definitely a thing that happens to like real modern people. And I think one of the strengths of the show is that it doesn't like it doesn't make it like mystic, like, ooh, like we're going to do rituals and blood and draw things on walls and like be creepy and chant. It's just like normal people just trying to find friends and family.
Well, Austin, I don't know whether or not you're neglecting to mention, or if it's just sort of like glossed over or something, that there's a large amount of quote unquote cults in North America that are totally based around the Christian religion.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I mean the Koresh were.
Yeah,
it was an offshoot. Like their thing was they were like flat Earth sort of dudes, but like it was from a Christian perspective. Like that's where they started.
Yeah, well, you remember when was it? Back in 2012, there was that guy who had a radio show who was like, "Oh yeah, for sure, this is gonna be it. You're all done." And hell, I can't remember his name.
Those apocalypse people? That happens like every 20 years. Is someone gets a whole bunch of people to sell all their earthly belongings because the rapture is Tuesday.
Harold Camping.
And then it doesn't happen.
He said Harold Camping. He was a radio show host, and said that the 2012 prediction was way off because that wasn't when That wasn't when the world was going to end, or it was something like the rapture was going to happen in 2011, or the world.
He didn't carry the one.
He said the world was going to end in 2011, and then when it didn't, he was like, "No. What I mean is that all the people who are going to heaven have been taken now. Even though you're still here, your souls are gone and they're safe, and the real world's going to end in like 8 months." And then it didn't.
Yeah, this has happened literally repeatedly throughout history. And I think the biggest one, like the one they'll teach you if you study this kind of stuff, is an event called the Great Disappointment, which happened in the 19th century, where there was actually a pretty huge, I want to say they were called Millerites, where they were like this group of people who said like, yeah, we figured it out. We've ripped the Bible apart, did the math. It's happening now. And they all sold their shit, and they basically became homeless, like, and they had nothing left in the world because they were like, we're getting raptured. And then it didn't happen. And like all of those people's lives were ruined. So like this happens actually pretty frequently. It's just, I think the 2012 stuff made some of it newsworthy, but it's actually constantly happening.
The Millerites. The Great Disappointment. 1844, October 22nd. Sorry.
Yeah, fun stuff to Google. I like to think people listen to this show with like a notepad because we never get like deep enough into topics, and I feel bad sometimes because there's always more to dig into, but I can't like actually remember it all.
Although weirdly enough, according to this though, at first the Millerites thought that the second coming was going to occur on April 28th or at the end of 1843. But then William Miller predicted that Christ was going to return on March 21st, 1844, after which it was amended to October 22nd, 1844, under the claim that he miscalculated Scripture.
Yeah, I mean, Scripture disagrees with itself. Like in the Synoptic Gospels, it says in one part that like the return will be far in the future, and another time it says like it could be any day now. Like there's no actual evidence. Like we would have figured it out if it was there. Anyone who's trying to tell you they know for sure is selling a book.
I just want to know when they're going to write the sequel
to the New Testament.
No, just to Scripture.
Yeah, I mean,
when are we going to get the Bible 3? This time it's personal.
Well, I would argue that the Bible 3 is either
the Quran.
The Quran, yeah, I was gonna say the Quran or the Book of Mormon, or is that Book 4?
Yeah, but the Quran rewrites like it.
They all do. They all.
It totally goes over that Jesus thing and goes, no, that wasn't the guy.
Well, is that more of a reboot?
Have I ever told you? Speaking of Mormonism, have I ever told you guys about Mormon?
What?
I swear I've told this story before.
You might have, but tell me anyway.
So in middle school...
Is this a guy named Mormon?
Yeah, sort of. In middle school...
Is he a deity? Does he appear from beneath the waves when you chant his names 5 times?
Okay, so you guys give me time to reflect, and I realize now this might be a story of bullying? Oops!
Tell me anyway.
It's too late, Austin. You can't back out now.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so in middle school, I went to school with a Mormon kid.
Okay.
And he was very into Pokemon. So we called him Mormon. And and I honestly, I mean, looking back, I feel like we may have bullied him. I thought at the time, like how I rationalized it, we were ribbing him like we rib all of our friends. But like, I think in hindsight, maybe crossed a line. Anyway,
how did he take it? Like, when he's like, "Oh, you guys," or was he like, "Stop calling me Mormon"?
Did he at any time yell, "Mormon, I choose you"?
No, here's the thing. He was super sweet. He's like the nicest human being I've ever met. Like he seemed pathologically incapable of negativity.
Well, that's a Mormon. Yeah, they're based. Every Mormon I've met has been really like polite to me.
And I mean, I don't know much about his like private life. Like we just hung out at school and stuff. But like he would never swear. He was just like against his rules. He could not swear. And like that was when we were all discovering cuss words, and it was like really fun. Like in middle school when you start saying them. So we were all like jumped up on the fun of fuck, and he was just like, not into it. And like he was just like the nicest dude. He was just like into Pokemon and like quiet and nice. And I don't have anything negative to say about him. Like Mormonism is like a bee's nest in a number of ways. I think it's like. It's racist garbage. Sorry. But if
wow.
It is. It's super racist. I'm sorry.
All right. I didn't know how racist it was, but this kid is
pretty racist.
It's nice. Okay, fair enough. I haven't looked too deeply into it. Well, I'm glad you had one good experience with a Mormon kid. Not like the guy I knew in middle school, Fred Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh.
Well done, Leon. Well done, I say.
All right.
Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh, my friend Lauren and I were watching the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and she wants to start a podcast where every week we watch the beginning of old ass anime and just talk shit about it.
Austin, you need more podcasts. That's what I always say.
No, that's what I said to her. I was like, "You're gonna have to edit it if we do this because I physically do not have enough time." But I don't know how much interest there is in that. But it was funny as hell to us. Holy shit, that early Yu-Gi-Oh anime is banana sandwiches. There's a part where like the deck of cards senses his hesitation. It's nuts. I love it. And the voice acting in the English version is so bad, it's transcendent. Holy crap. But yeah. All the Mormons I've ever met are super nice, and I'm sure most of them are nice. I'm not trying to say anything bad about those people, obviously. I think like we don't need this disclaimer. Everyone knows we're not being mean to religious people, but the religion itself is extremely upsetting.
Okay.
I mean, all of them are. Like honestly, every scripture has like severely fucked up parts. I guess it's not really fair to call one out. They're all kind of messed up, but it's whatever. I think everyone knows me well enough.
So,
yeah.
You guys want to get into questions, or do we have other shit? I mean, we always have other shit, but I'm sure we also have tons of questions.
We have like an episode's worth of questions. We have so many questions.
Why don't we start on them, and if they stop being good, we can talk about something else.
I would like to talk about something else, actually.
Okay.
If
Go right
that's
ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you guys know who Maria Bamford is?
Oh yeah.
I do, only because you were talking about her on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a really great stand-up comedian.
She is. She's a fantastic stand-up comedian. She just released a show on Netflix. And here's the thing. I know that right now I'm kind of in a love triangle for your guys' media affections, to where it's like when I sit down to watch something, it's like, oh, gee, do I watch more X-Files or do I watch more JoJo? Who do I love more today? I don't know. And then I mop my brow with handkerchiefs and lie on a fainting couch for a little while and have dreamy thoughts about the two of you. But Stephanie is watching neither show with me. Mainly because our schedules are kind of off, but also because it's the X-Files and also JoJo. I'm not saying there's something wrong with either of them. It's just,
I mean, they're both bad.
There's an inaccessibility.
They're both wonderful and bad.
Because when you're halfway through the X-Files, I think I'm on season 6 now or something like that. There's just so much shit under the foundation that to try to explain who's that guy? Oh, well, that guy. So he works for a shady organization that, at the very beginning of the series, you're led to believe is actually trying to keep it a secret that, it just... It's hard.
And the other show is, who's that guy? Oh, he's a vampire named Vanilla Ice, and he has a psychic assistant that turns into a ball, and it's very... Listen.
Yeah.
It's very...
I'm a little more likely to be hospitalized.
Okay. So
I
tell
may be
us
trying
about
to
this
describe
show.
JoJo. So when we sit down and watch a show, usually there's sort of just like conjoined efforts. Like we watch Better Call Saul together, we watched Hannibal together, we watched The Expanse together, so on and so forth. Well, Lady Dynamite is this new show on Netflix that's Maria Bamford, but it was co-created by Mitchell Hurwitz, the guy who created Arrested Development. And it's, from what I understand, kind of loosely based around Maria Bamford's life. And it just... There's something really special about this show. In the first place, it kind of takes place in 3 eras, which is modern day era, the Duluth period, which is sort of like the next step back from present day, and then the past. And it's kind of divided up in that in the past, it's all about Maria's career on the rise. Her star is finally catching. You know, she's getting commercial deals and TV shows and things like that. And the Duluth period is after she cracks. She has something akin to kind of like a nervous breakdown, goes back home to Duluth, Minnesota. She's living with her mom and dad again, going to group therapy at like the local hospital. And then there's present, where she's actually making like Lady Dynamite, the show. And it just, like, there's something really, really special about how earnest this show is, like how unafraid it is to talk about mental illness, pressure, anxiety, confusion, afflictions, mental afflictions, you know. But then at the same time, it's so like weirdly irreverent about the whole thing. Like it even though it talks about really serious stuff, it doesn't really take much of it seriously.
But is it better than Black Dynamite?
Yeah. But
that's
but
crazy
for,
talk. Black
but
Dynamite's
for different
phenomenal.
reasons. I mean, you know, like it's so difficult to explain because it just smashes up these 3 periods of her life, which all have like very different moods, and each one with kind of like these really different focuses, where like in the past she's this total like people pleaser and just, you know, tries to do everything to the cost of her own composure, essentially. And then in the middle period, you just see like a broken woman who doesn't really know how to get better. She's trying, but, you know, the road to recovery is confusing, and it just causes all these strange, awkward situations. And then in present, it's about her actually trying to learn lessons and do things properly and make sure that she's still taking care of herself and taking care of her career and trying to achieve things and be the kind of person that she wants to be, but not at the cost to her own mental health. And some of the guest stars that she gets are just like crazy. Like Sarah Silverman's on it, Patton Oswalt's on it, Brendan Routh is on it, Mark McGrath, who is the lead singer for Sugar Ray, is on it.
Great. Good for him.
Tig Notaro's on it.
Okay.
Oh man, but like I'm about 6 or 7 episodes in, and this might be one of my favorite television shows ever.
Cool.
It's on Netflix right now. Like I said, it's called Lady Dynamite. If you're not familiar with their stand-up comedy, they did add a stand-up comedy to Netflix recently as well, which I believe is called The Special Special Special.
Right.
Which kind of gives you a taste about Maria Bamford's stand-up comedy, where the Special 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 was recorded in her home in Los Angeles, and only her mom and dad are in the audience. That's her show.
Yeah. She mentions her parents a lot in her stand-up, so
Yeah.
it's actually kind of funny that they would. I haven't seen that one yet, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, but this show, Lady Dynamite, I am enamored of it. It's so honest. It's so funny. It's so strange. It's just it's like I'm not sure I've seen anything like it before.
Okay.
Check it out.
My favorite Maria Bamford joke is I hate to get political at the start of the show, but can we talk about dog costuming? That's my favorite joke. I mean, she's done a lot of great jokes, but that one was
She's
really,
very
really
funny.
got me.
Very funny.
Yeah. All right. Unless we have any other pressing topics, let's jump into questions. Austin, take it.
All right. Professor J, Doctor of Questions, asks, best way to dispose of a body? Need answers fast. Thanks. Smiley face.
Lie.
That's you can't just lie a body into not.
No. Lie.
Oh, lie.
L-Y-E.
I thought you were just like, this isn't a body. He's alive. It's fine. Like, just
No,
keep lying until it disappears.
No, don't Weekend at Bernie's it. I mean, like you melt a body with certain chemicals.
But you have to acquire. Like, where do you go to get lie? It's not like at the Home Depot, is it?
Yes. What are you talking about?
It's been a while since I've been in the Home Depot. I think it might be suspicious to buy that much lie. That has to get you on a list.
No, it doesn't. People buy like things that could create bombs at the Home Depot all the time.
Pay in cash.
Also, I mean, like 2 household chemicals combined can create mustard gas. Like you can. Yeah, of course you can buy lye. By the way, don't do any of this. I'm just
You
saying.
sounded strangely authoritative. You're like, no, you just buy it in cash. Don't make eye contact. Get a drum. Take it. You're just like very on point here.
Wear a hat and glasses as you go into the store because they do have cameras and all of them.
This is gonna remind me in the Squid Squad D&D campaign I did with my local friends. There came a point where they had to get rid of a body, and the decision was reached to eat it. Which I guess it worked. Like it's gone.
Pigs.
That's the Snatch method.
No, it's
God,
not the
that's a good
Snatch
movie.
method. It's the Robert Pickton method.
Oh, I just remember that whole scene where they explain it in that movie.
There's
Okay.
there's a serial killer in British Columbia named Robert Pickton.
Right
Who
now.
He says that he killed about 49 women. He was convicted of 6.
I'm gonna say Tom Windle asks Leon how Filbert and the Poop Ninja situation are, which are previous Baltimore stories. Do you have updates on those?
Oh, Filbert doesn't work. Filbert doesn't work at the place that I work anymore, so it doesn't matter. Which one was Poop Ninja? Oh yeah, Poop Ninja. No, I've rather than confront the Poop Ninja, I have just tried to be more. I'm a little quicker about getting my trash to and from the street, and that's it. The best way to defeat the Poop Ninja is to not leave, bait for the Poop Ninja.
You gotta be sly to beat the Poop Ninja.
I like that we have continuity that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
I forgot who Filbert was until like literally a second ago. It was the guy who was like a little bit racist, but very open to having things explained.
Filbert,
the benign racist.
Yeah, I believe I called him Filbert, the world's most reasonable racist. No, bigot, because sometimes it's just homophobic and not racist. But anyway, no, he doesn't work there anymore. We don't stay in touch because I don't care about anyone that is involved in the day job that I have.
As
that
a quick aside, what were the
go ahead.
circumstances of his departure?
Oh, he just left. He wasn't fired or anything. He just got old and he didn't want to do it anymore.
He escaped. He's on the loose.
Good luck, Filbert.
All right, next question. Blake Schwartz asks, have you ever watched any foreign language live action TV shows? If so, what are some of your favorites? I think we all like foreign films, but TV?
No, but, and not, I mean, I guess I could, but they're not on. except for like telenovelas, like in where I am. I mean, I guess I could pick one up if anyone has any recommendations. But yeah, I watch foreign films a whole lot. I never like hear about foreign television shows, is what I'm trying to say. No, that's just not. It's just completely not in my radar. I guess besides anime, but I barely watch anime. So sorry, but I guess I don't know much about that.
Yeah, you mentioned anime. I think that's why the question specified live action. But I actually watched. So the anime Future Diary, it was based on a manga, obviously, which is kind of like if Death Note forgot what it was trying to do and just became like wacky bloodshed with a crazy girl. And that anime is so bad that it's good in a way. I kind of enjoy how shitty it is. But there is a live action version, and I watched some of it. It's a Japanese show, obviously. And they changed almost everything except for the core premise. And I got bored and stopped watching. It wasn't very good.
Okay.
I think partially just didn't have the budget to go as batshit as the anime and manga. And partially that I just don't think the filmmaking was very good. It has a kind of a cheap look. I know that look Leon hates, where you can very much tell it's television.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only foreign live action thing I've seen that I can remember. Johnny?
Lars von Trier had a miniseries TV show back in the 90s. I don't know what the Danish name is, but it was called Kingdom, or The Kingdom. I watched that back in the 90s. It was good. Weird, but Lars von Trier. I'm also going to bend the rules a little bit here, because as a Canadian, I get access to foreign language television that's not necessarily a foreign language, because the official languages of Canada are English and French. And there is a television show that comes out of Quebec called Série Noire. That's actually, I mean, it's funny, but it has dramatic beats. It's about these two guys who write like a crime TV show, like a legal procedural TV show, that gets totally savaged by the critics, right? And then, so what they decide to do is that in order to write a better second season, they decide that they need to start committing crimes to get a better idea of what that whole world is about. Excuse me. It gets a little wacky. It's kind of fun. I know that it won some Geminis in Canada, which are like our Emmys. So it's pretty good. There's only 2 seasons of it, I think. I don't know if they're coming back for a third, but it's worth watching, definitely. I'm trying to think if there's any other Quebecois series that I've watched that landed well. Nothing's jumping to mind though, so no, I'll stick with those 2.
Okie dokie. I think we're running low on time here. How are you guys feeling about the length of this episode?
I can go like a couple more minutes, couple more questions.
All right, because there's one here that might have spoilers, so I kind of want to save it for the end, so we can say like if you care, turn it off. But
okay, well then do the non-spoiler one first, and then the spoiler one, I guess.
All I know is that every second, Austin, every second you're keeping me away from opening this box. Although really, I have to go put a loaf of bread in the mixer, so I'll be doing bread next. I
don't even know how to pronounce some of these words, and there's a bunch of video game questions in here. What are you guys doing?
Nope.
No. Max the
I just want to say, stop sending Austin video game questions for WordFun.
It would be edited out of the show.
Yep.
It's okay. I save them and then I do them on Game Crunk. Actually, Alexander Arts asks, why is Game Crunk so good? In the last episode, we invented a new game. It's called Blood Butts. so you should listen to that. Next episode, we should have Michael Skicciano on. That's going to be a good time. You guys are going to talk about VR. That's a thing we do. Max the Silva asks, any favorite gangster/mafia movies? Any thoughts on the genre? I think the easy answer is Godfather, but that's like not even the top 5, honestly, for me.
For me, that probably is, my favorite one.
I think Goodfellas is my favorite. It's so stylish. It's so
good.
like
It's good, but it's not, to me, it's not like epic in that way. But it's one of my favorite Scorsese films, but it's not my favorite or second favorite.
Have you read The Godfather, the book?
No, I don't do that anymore. Reading, unless it's for an episode.
Yeah.
Basically, I was like a voracious reader as a youngster, and even in my 20s. But in my 30s, like I don't have any time. So if I'm reading, it's only for the episode. So I'm reading Atlas Shrugged right now.
Yeah. Two things. One, the Godfather book has an entire subplot about a character whose penis is too big for his wife's vagina, and then he finds a woman whose vagina is too big for her penis. That's a thing that happens. They hook up. Second of all, I think we need to take a moment to appreciate how much work Leon puts into his show, even though no one cares if he reads the Atlas Shrugged book. He's putting himself through that for nothing. Most people on the internet make dumb videos with minimal effort, and Leon's killing himself over here for like no reason. Why are you doing this?
I will say this: I'm not so much reading it as I am listening to someone narrate it through an audiobook, which is only slightly less painful.
Leon, the proper answer is, I did it for love.
It's not very good, and I don't just mean because I know where it's heading, and it's like philosophically uncomfortable. I mean, it's not very good in that it's actually kind of boring. I mean, if it had, like, I can sit through like media that I'm like staunchly opposed to, but say that it's exciting and not be too harsh on it. Like, for example, every like gun glorifying action movie from the 80s makes me like a little squicky now, because of just the way our culture has gone. But I'm not going to sit here and say I don't like Commando because it's just Commando, and I'm not going to say I didn't like John Wick, even though like every gunshot was like them having erections about it. But
to be fair, Leon,
yeah,
I had many erections too.
Okay,
not because of the guns though.
Because of Keanu Reeves.
Pretty much, yeah.
He was pretty hot in that.
He was a little greasy for my taste, but he's good looking.
I'll take him. Yeah. I'll take him greasy. Oh my God, Keanu with a little sweat on him. Serve it up.
When he fought Daniel Bernhardt, the fake Jean-Claude Van Damme, like, so good. Anyway, but no, Atlas Shrugged is not a very good book, and I don't mean because like it's like morally questionable. I mean, it's just not that good.
All of Ayn Rand's stuff is gross on that level. But like, I would say like The Fountainhead is at least salvageable from a prose perspective. Atlas Shrugged is like insufferable.
Yeah. I've read a bunch of like, let's say, essays by Rand, but this is actually the first time I've tried to like get through one of her novels. So it's not going well. I'm going to try to get as much through it as I can until it's time for me to just do the episode. But
you like go to the trouble of like doing bibliographies and shit for your show. Like, like, do you ever get comments like, "Oh, this was very well," like, glad you went to all this extra effort. Like,
someone made almost never. That's
never. What I'm saying. You could totally get away with not doing that. Like, I
understand.
Know why you bother.
It helps a little bit. Here's the thing. The only time anyone's mentioned my bibliography lately is because I forgot to cite one of the movies in the bibliography. I mean, I sourced the movie when I showed a clip of it, and I had the little thing at the bottom that says what it's called and when it was made. But I forgot to put that into the bibliography at the very end. So yeah, and someone was like, "You forgot," and they were right. So I couldn't really say shit about it. I just made a mistake.
Busted.
Yeah. Anyway. Sorry, we got way off track from the question.
My favorite gangster movie is Burn After Reading.
I was just talking about that with someone. It's a very divisive movie. I like it, but I can see why people don't.
I know it's not really a gangster movie, but
there's
like
crimes.
Yeah, it's crimes and and government organizations.
I like noir movies. I do, but I would never really call them gangster movies or anything like that.
Right.
Like I liked The Killer Inside Me, Maltese Falcon, of course, Big Sleep.
We got 2 more questions I want to hit before we end this.
Let's do it.
All right. Robert Lady Killer Paulson asks, is there or should there be a waiting period before hitting on single mothers? Please give us more of these juicy ass questions.
First of all,
hold on. Wait,
something needs to be clarified about this question. All right.
Yeah. I think, Johnny, you and I are thinking the exact same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So is this a waiting period after they give birth?
No, I don't think so.
Or
I don't think you guys are on the same page.
No, I was actually thinking something totally different, but go ahead.
I'm wondering, is this a case of like they're a single mother, as in they are single, they gave birth to a kid, and you're in the OR and be like, hey, do you want to grab a coffee after this?
No, you guys are on different pages.
No.
You could ask, yeah.
What I'm trying to ask is, do you mean she has recently become a single mother in the sense that she divorced the father? Or
recently single, whether he died or she died, or
if she's recently a single mother because the husband died, you might want to give her a minute to mourn.
This was part of my this was it. I was going there.
It was. I
was going there.
But if she separated from the husband, even though she might be perfectly willing to just jump right back into the dating game, might want to take the kids into consideration because this is super fresh for them.
Like I said, how old is this kid? Are we talking 6 minutes?
Right. I mean, if the kid is a baby, then the baby will never remember the father. But if the kid is, say, 11, be sensitive to the kid.
What if he dies on his way to the hospital?
And of course, a single mother, I mean, the kids could be fully grown and off to college. She could just be a mother who happens to be single. So this is a
there needs to be some
question.
Yeah, some things need to be cleared up here.
No, they don't, because it's funnier if we just make up scenarios. The questions are a canvas upon which we need to paint. Personally, I feel.
This is what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I know. Actually, your shit was good. I just thought it was funny. My feeling on a lot of this, like the questions like, oh, is it too soon for me? Is it too soon for her? Is there too much age difference? A lot of those kind of questions are like, if you're worried about it, then it's probably an issue, right? Like if it's like in your mind, because you're going to be thinking about it the whole time. Do you know what I'm saying? Doesn't that? That's how I feel. Not
necessarily, Austin.
Yeah. Enlighten me with your aged wisdom.
Well, because part of the problem is that sometimes people see themselves too much through the lenses of others.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they actually get into situations where, I don't know, you're wearing a pair of really flamboyant hammer pants on a street corner at 1:00 in the morning in a disreputable neighborhood, and suddenly you're like, yeah, this is me. You just need to take that step.
Unhelpful sentence anyone has ever said. How is that?
No, I'm just saying. Sometimes you need to take a step that you're afraid of taking beforehand because you think that other people are going to be like, "Oh, look at those pants," but then you discover with those pants on a new facet of yourself. You discover strength you never thought you had. You discover pants, or in this case, single mom.
Put pants on and just go for it, is what you're saying.
I'm saying having doubts is not necessarily indicative that it's inherently going to be a problem.
I would say that if you're not sure, maybe you need to get to know this person more until you're sure of like their emotional landscape. Because like if you're not sure if they're ready, then maybe you don't know them very.
Yeah. Wait until she's out of the hospital at the very least.
Okay, we're never gonna get anywhere on that. So let's go to the final question.
Sure.
Sarah Wheeler asks, "What's y'all's opinion about this whole Spoilers. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear this.
About let's say specific spoilers about what, because other don't just say spoilers because
Jesus dies at the end.
Yeah, that's spoilers for Marvel comic books.
Yep, you already looked up the tweet.
Oh no, I know exactly what we're going to talk about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's Marvel comic books. Captain America. He was in Hydra all along. He was secretly a white supremacist for the last 60, 70 years.
The weird thing about something like this, besides all the reasons why it's weird, is that not only does this retcon a very, big thing about a very big character in the Marvel comic book universe, it also retcons every single time Captain America has ever had a thought bubble. So every panel in history where he's ever had a thought bubble is now retconned, because there's no way he would be having the, let's say, pure, altruistic American thoughts, because we all know Americans are altruistic, about basically everything he's ever thought is bullshit. It's why a lot of people were disappointed in the twist to Heavy Rain, because we're in his head too much, so that when he's revealed that the guy who's thinking all the time is the bad guy, it always comes across as bullshit because we are already in his head. It's very bad, unreliable narrator shit.
It's bad writing because this wasn't planned from the beginning. Yeah.
Well, anyway, the point is, look, a lot of continuity in comic books means nothing is planned from the beginning, but because it goes on for decades and decades and decades and passes among hundreds of different writers. But the issue here is not just, the hurt feelings of people who happen to like Captain America. Because I mean, we can all say, oh, that sucks, I don't want to read this comic book anymore, and that's fine. Like, everyone's ideology is different. Like a lot of people thought Captain America acted out of character during the Civil War miniseries, and there's some truth to that. But now it's like, wait, what was that even about now? Everything he's ever done is, what was that even about now? Look, I'm not so naive that I believe that narrative and and almost everything that goes into the story of not just comic books, but media in general, has some eye towards marketing, has some eye towards profit, because it absolutely has to in order to survive. But this is just so nakedly done, so transparently done, and frankly so cynically done, that it's just kind of ugly. And I guess that's my problem with it. Another problem I have with it is that Marvel Comics can be like, yeah, we can make Captain America a Nazi, but we're not going to make a Black Widow action figure, because that won't sell. No, and I understand they've tried to rectify that, but shit like that, they do things like, well, we're not gonna make this character bi. We're not going to make this character gay because that might hurt with marketing. We're not going to create this action figure because blah. Yeah, we're not going to make this movie because blah. No, you made Captain America a Nazi.
It literally came on the heels of this huge social media push to give Captain America a boyfriend. Like, that was trending all week. It's like, no, being bi is too controversial. Being a Nazi, now that's something we can all get behind. But no, it takes several days for this to be edited. So by the time it comes out, like, every single thing wrong with it will have been nitpicked and like thrown up on the internet. So like, there's no point in doing that shit. But like,
someone said, and I can't take credit for this, but someone put it very simply and perfectly when they said, the one thing you know about Captain America, the one descriptor of him is not a Nazi. It's like the only thing you can always say about Captain America, not a Nazi. So that is why this is just so ridiculous. Look, like massive changes happen in comic books all the time. Weird retcons happen in comic books all the time. This one is just kind of gross for all those reasons mentioned, and just so and like I said, just so transparent about the fact that they want people to talk about it, and it worked. Because it was all over my Twitter timeline, and I only follow a few people who like comic books. It's all over my Facebook, and again, I don't follow. I don't, I only know a few people who read comic books on a regular basis. It's freaking everywhere because it is so nonsensical and so much that I can't help but talk about it. though they work. I mean, it worked. So congratulations on this very short term gain for your company. Not looking forward to being your public relations person, though.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Never let it be said that we
good photoshops out of it.
Never let it be said that we only go after DC. I do want to say though, I'm interested in seeing the Venn diagram of people who were butthurt that Thor was a woman, people who were butthurt that the Ghostbusters are women, and people who were like, I don't know, give Nazi Captain America a chance. Maybe it'll work out.
Freedom of speech, right?
Yeah, that's an overlap. I bet's got a lot of anime avatars on Twitter.
I bet the actual character from the DC universe, Captain Nazi, is like, is that a the fuck, man? This is bullshit. Actual quote from Captain Nazi from the DC universe.
Well, Captain America's stealing all his thunder.
He's a motherfucker. I gotta tell you. Oh my gosh! You know this retcon will not reign for 1,000 years, though. Everyone, they will retcon it back.
Do you figure he's going to endorse Trump?
I feel like this is a new Coke situation. They're going to introduce it, get everyone pissed, and then bring back classic Captain America. Everyone will, and that issue will also sell like hotcakes. So, yeah. I mean, the thing is, even though this is temporary, it's such a stain. I mean, there are a lot of stupid Captain America stuff over the years. He turned into a werewolf. Once, guys, but this is a bridge too far.
But he wasn't revealed to have been a werewolf the whole time.
That's the weird thing. Like I said, that's how it's strange. Look, I would have a completely different feeling about it if Captain America just, like quote unquote turned bad.
If he had a character arc that got him there in a way that was like even if not believable, at least like attempted to be so.
Right. Like for example, sometimes supervillains start as superheroes and go back and forth. Like, for example, Hal Jordan famously became a supervillain named Parallax. But a lot of shit had to happen for that to occur. His home had to blow up. He had to lose his mind. It was sort of retconned later that he also had a fear demon in his butt or something. But at the time it was like,
which is the worst place to have a fear demon.
Right. But at the time, it was like, yeah, I can see someone going insane and doing some horrible shit when everything in their world blew up in front of their eyes. That is the origin story of lots of supervillains. So that kind of made sense, even though I'm sure a lot of people were upset that their Green Lantern went and did some awful things. But you kind of got it. This is just like, no. Every single issue has been a lie. Hope you can't ask for your money back. Okay. Any final thoughts on this before we go? I went on a bit long on that. Sorry.
I'm going to read the names of 4 restaurants.
Okay.
Bitter. The Alibi Room. The Tap and Barrel. The Fat Badger.
Is that the whole of that segment?
Yeah. What do you want?
As I've gone about my week, like since the last time we recorded, sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I'm gonna go to water, and then I'll suddenly remember So Crab So Good, and I'll just fucking crack up. It's ruining my life. It's
so good.
People are dying, Johnny. It's not a joke. All right, you guys want to wrap this beast up?
Yeah, last week I forgot to actually mention all the movies I watched recently, which is a thing I'm supposed to do. So I'm just going to very quickly go through some movies that I watched recently that I would recommend. I saw The Nice Guys in the theaters. It's very much a, quote unquote bro comedy. If that sort of thing turns you off, and I can understand that, fair warning. But it is a very, very good one. It is a very good bro comedy. Quite good. I also watched Once Upon a Time in Anatolia, which is a Turkish film that I loved. I'm trying to catch up on some like big, huge movies that came out in the past few years because I'm doing an episode about, that kind of thing. I also watched Melancholia and liked it quite a bit, even though I really hated the camera work.
I did not enjoy Melancholia.
That's totally fine, and I can certainly see it having some some negative points.
Yeah,
I liked
I'm
a
not
whole
stepping
lot of.
on you or anything.
No, it's okay.
I like. I like the beginning. I like the whole
Okay.
wedding thing.
Yeah.
And I also liked its frank depiction of depression.
Yeah.
But
More like Lars von terrible at movies.
Nice. Austin. Smooth as silk.
I love you for trying.
Yeah, I really like Melancholia. I have some problems with it. But anyway, I watched Spartacus, obviously. I watched Leaving Las Vegas and hated it. But I had to do it for a friend of mine. We did a podcast about it. I also watched A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is quite good.
Very good.
I might be underselling it, but just by calling it quite good, though. It's probably one of my favorite horror movies the past few years. Green Room, I saw also. I mentioned it in passing last week. It is great, and go see it, please.
That's the guy who did Blue Ruin, right?
That is correct.
Also very good.
Yeah, those are the movies I watched recently. I'm in the middle of watching something else right now, but I can't really describe it yet. So that's it. Anything you guys want to say right before we go?
I'm gonna read the names of 2 restaurants. Maynam. The Storm Crow.
If you're interested in the written stuff I used to do or still do occasionally, I have a new Mondays up over on my Patreon, patreon.com/AustinYorski. I talked to you about the Weezer album Pinkerton, and I wrote like 1,200 words about it. It's still pretty good. It's still a pretty good album.
There's a new Magnetic Fields album coming out.
It's one of those. It's one of those made-up bands that Johnny made for this show.
Bunch of bullshit.
Baby, I can